Hi there and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to create a chat application using socket.io and node.js server to get in touch with everyone during the lockdown that is going on again here from my home office in Belgium. Yeah, so let's dive into it. Here we go. Alright, let's get to it. So we're going to start out with a blank index.html file. In here we're just going to add an HTML structure, and I'm just going to quickly add some meta items. Alright, we're just going to call it chat app for now. Alright, inside the body I'm just going to add some basic things like a div for the main chat to go in and a div for the form to go in. So bear with me here. Whoops, there we go. Closing the div. So just going to add a form here with an ID of what should we call it? Send message. Yeah, just like that, send message, and we don't need this. So inside here we're just going to add an ID of the main chat, for example, and in this div we're just going to add an ID of let's say chat form, and inside the form just going to add an input with type text, and just going to have an ID of client message. And the value, yeah, we just throw that away. And just going to add a button of type submit. I'm just going to add an ID of client message button, just for the clarity, and just put send inside here. So there we go. I'm just going to quickly add a new file, call it style.css. I'm just going to quickly add the styles. Alright, so I give it a max width of 600 pixels. I've added display flex, yeah, just some basic things. We're just going to use a background of blue with white colors, and for every second one we're just going to switch it around with a white background and black text. So basically if we, yeah, so I just need to add it in here. So I'm just going to link the last style sheet to style.css. And basically what we're going to look at is, whoops, I don't see that margin button. Oh, all right, I just need to add 10 pixels in here. So there we go. Now we have a blank screen with a form down here. And well, that's it for now. So alright, the next step is to initialize our node project. So we're just going to hit npm init to initialize a project. Just hit enter all the way on these basic questions. You can fill them out whenever you want, but in this case we don't. Now we're going to install socket.io because that's the main package that we're going to use. So install socket.io. Alright, so once that's installed, we're just going to add npm install Nodemon -save dev. Nodemon will actually monitor our project and will refresh it whenever it's needed. So this could take a while, but yeah. Alright, when that's installed, we're just going to add in the package.json a new script. Let's say dev run, for example, and we're just going to add Nodemon server.js, because that's the file that we're going to use. And we're just going to add that file. So make a new file, save it as server.js, hit save, and then we're able to npm run dev run. There we go. Now we have a node server up and running with Nodemon monitoring it for every change. Now we have that out of the way, we can start building our application. So I'm going to start with const.io, and I'm going to require the package that we've previously installed, socket.io, and I'm going to run it at port 4000. I know most people like to use port 3000, but well, I don't. I'm just going to add cores to it of origin, well, everything, because you know you want it to run on everything. I'm just going to, there you go, I was messing up right there. So when we hit save, you can see that Nodemon is restarting our server, so it's actually restarting node server.js for us. Alright, so as we continue, we can use the IO on a connection. So whenever a new connection comes in, we're going to call the socket.io with an arrow function in here. So in here we can add every message that the server is able to process. So for example, let's start with a new user that is joining the room, socket.on a new user. And we're going to require a parameter called name, arrow function with, for now, just going to console log the name that is provided to the new user message. Now, for this to work, we need to add the server-side scripting as well. And I can see that I have an error here. So it's a new user. Oh, I forgot the comma. Save. There we go. So we're going to add a new file, save it as script.js. And in script.js, we're just going to add a const of socket.io, and the location of the socket.io server that we're going to use will be, I need to add this in quotes, there we go, will be on localhost, and we're using port 4000 in this case. And we're just going to make a new const of the client name, and we're going to prompt the user for what is your name, question mark. Well, and then we're going to send it to the socket with an emit of the new user. So that is the function name that we're going to call on the socket.io server, and we're going to add the client name as well. So in our index.html, we still need to add those scripts. So I'm just going to quickly add them. I don't know why, but my editor always throws out the colors of my code whenever. So also script defer script.js, and we're going to restart and reload our page. So this time it asks my name. What is your name? And I'm calling Bert because that's my name. And as you can see, it console logs my name right over here. So this seems to work. All right, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create an empty array. Users equals to an empty array, and I'm going to use the user's unique socket ID to identify them. So users with the key of socket.id equals to the name of that user. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to broadcast the name of the new user to all the connected users on the sockets. So I'm just going to hit socket broadcast.emit because we're going to emit it as a user connected message. with the name of the new user. There we go. We're just going to do the same thing for a user disconnection. So socket on disconnect, and this function won't receive any parameters, so we're just going to do it like this: socket broadcast emit user disconnect with the user's unique ID of the socket to get the name of the user. And after that, we're just going to delete the user that has just been disconnected. So delete users socket.id. There you go, users socket ID. All right, so the last one that we're going to add is a socket on new message. And we're just going to look for the message, arrow function, socket. Again, we're going to broadcast it. So broadcast emit, and we're just going to call it a chat message. A chat message with, let's say, the message. I'm just going to put in an array of message with message. And we're going to, the name of the user that's sending the message is users, and again the socket ID of the user that is sending it to get the name of the user. And I think that will be it for our server side. When we go ahead to edit our client side code, I'm going to again use socket on and just use the same function names that we're calling here. So user connect, user disconnect, and chat message. So for example, user connected. I think that was correct. User connected, yes. User connected. Just going to look for the name, arrow function, and well, first of all, we're just going to create a function that calls and appends the messages in the chat. So we're going to add a function add to chat, for example, with the message as a parameter. And I'm just going to get the message box here, and this will be document dot create element, because we want to add a div for every message. Then the message box will get an inner text with the message that has been passed to the function. And then we're going to document.getElementById. And we're just going to prompt it all into the main chat div in here. So main chat, and we're going to append the message box in there. And now in our user connect function, we can add to chat of, I'm just going to use backticks instead of quotations here, because we want to $sign our name to get our data. And just going to say joined the room. There we go. Now, if we refresh our app, it's going to ask us our name, and we see nothing. But if we add another browser window and just going to say bird2, we see nothing. But if we go back to the first one, we have bird2 joined the room. This is because we are actually broadcasting it to all the users that are connected except ourselves. Of course, we want to tell ourselves that we have joined a room as well. We're just going to add again the add to chat function with just a message that you have joined the let's say the code with Bert room, chat room. There we go. If we save this and we reconnect, there we go. Now we have in our second, I'm just going to put it right next to each other. This will be better for you to understand this. There we go. So you have joined the code with Bert chat room, and Bert has joined in the other one. All right, so next up we can actually copy this and use it to make our disconnect function. So we can use the same message, but we just change left the room. If we save that and I open another tab here and I go to chat room and I call it Bert3, I have you have joined, Bert3 has joined the room, and here the same thing. But if I close this one, nothing happens because I forgot to alright, I just forgot to refresh the page. So whenever I refresh the page, I can see Bert2, and I can add Bert has left the room and Bert joined the room. So that's basically it. So the next one will be a new chat message coming in. So for socket on, I think we've called it new message, no, chat message. Chat message. And we're going to use data because we're receiving the message and the user at the same time. So we're going to use the add chat function again, and we're going to use backticks, and we're going to say the user, so data.name, and we're going to use data.message to get the message and the user at the same time. So far we have all the code set up to receive messages back and forth, but we still need to use the form that we have created. So I'm going to add some functionality to grab the input field whenever the submit button is clicked of our form. So get element by ID, and we have called it send message, correct? Send message. And we're going to add an event listener, so add event listener on a submit action, and we're going to get a function e, and we're going to hit e prevent default, so the server isn't, so the script doesn't send it to server. Then we're going to use the add to chat message again, and we're going to add whatever you wrote, so you, and then document. I just want to use backticks here again because we're going to do some cool stuff. So here we go, document get element by ID again, because we want to have the client message, and the client message has an ID of client message, which is cool. Client message, and we want to collect the value. So this will grab whatever you wrote in the input field of the form and puts it into the chat log with you wrote this. So then we're going to add a socket.emit of of a message called new message, or what did we call it? We've called, yeah, new message, right? So new message, and we're just going to add again the same thing. Just going to copy this over. So document.get element by ID, and yeah, the value of the chat message again. There we go. And then we're just going to clear out the form. So document get element by ID of the client message, and the value must be set to nothing. There we go. So whenever we hit the submit button, the new message function will be called on server with the client message. So whatever you put in here will be sent to here and will be broadcasted to all clients that are connected except yourself. Therefore we add this message. So whenever we refresh this, so I'm just going to call Bert and just refresh this one and call it for example Kevin. So Kevin joined the room, and Kevin is going to say hi. Oh, sorry, I just hit the wrong button here. Say hi. Whoops. It seems like whenever I do this, prevent defaults. I can see here I misspelled default as I wrote detold. Whenever I refresh here, I'm just going to call myself Kevin. Hi, and the other one, hello there, and how are you? Fine. Just going to do this. Fine. And how about you? And just going to add another one, chat app.test, Caro. Hi, as you can see, and then let's Kevin leave the room. Kevin leaves the room. So basically, this is the basic concept of how you build a chat application with node.js, socket.io, and actually very little code has been written here. So yeah, this is only a basic concept of how this works, but I thought you should know this, so here it is. Have you enjoyed this content? Give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thank you. See you in the next one.